finally, it's done. Season 5 of The Last Kingdom has come to an end, and not without a banger. We all know that Season 4 ended with a lot of unanswered questions, and fans had been expecting a thriller, which they certainly got. However, it turns out star Timothy Inns, or King Edward as we know him, did not want to do a key scene in the last season. Let's find out more. First up, really horrible to play, says Inns. It was an eye-opener for us when King Edward decided to abandon his people and force them to be ruled by the Scots. Although we've seen him to be a very, we'd like to say, flawed character, since he has become a major player in the season, but this just took him to another level. The actor also asserted that he had to sit down and think about the whole script before finally agreeing to go with it. We understand because all these years, one plays a character and builds an attachment, but suddenly having to go against it all. We'd need time to come to terms with that. The star Timothy Inns said, "The end of episode 8, when I'm like going against Uhtred and the Avengers, it was really horrible to play. We completely get it, because all this time we have seen him wanting to unite the kingdoms as his father had wanted, and taking such a drastic turn was quite rebellious. However, it did not end with a good response, as Uhtred opposed the idea and all others supported him. But like they say, all's not lost. All in all, the turn of events seemed to have worked, as Edward's allies turning on him and supporting Uhtred for the retake of Babenberg was notably one of the outstanding scenes of the season. It's very uncommon for a king, the sort of character arc that has been portrayed in this series. He's always been in the gray area for everyone with all the bad decision making and selfish behavior he has shown. No wonder he didn't get his word across the board. Maybe this will teach him as to why the kings before him made the decisions they did and why they succeeded. It's clear that running after his father's goals is not for him. Instead, he should try to focus on how he can be a better king for his people. Don't you agree? And now, let's just recap a little. With so much going on in the last season, we'll try to sum everything up quickly. It starts with Uhtred the Great, as we like to call him, being in Runcorn and worried about the return of Brita. He notices the ashes from the volcano and birds falling dead, sensing the danger may linger close to him. Meanwhile, Brita is finally leading her own followers into a battle to exterminate the Christians, really setting us up for all that transpires. Brita takes over Sigtrygg's accommodation, but Stiora manages to hide, eventually coming out to face Brita. Uhtred, on the other hand, is trying to save Stiora, but isn't getting much help. Classic Uhtred situation. Asking Aethelflaed didn't help, but we don't blame her. She herself was dying and needed to protect her kingdom. She also didn't want Uhtred to stray away from saving his daughter. If that isn't the mark of a true leader, we don't know what is. But this is how it all went down. King Edward started revealing his true colors by killing a number of nobles. He got tricked into believing that Sigtryggr was behind his wife's killing and was ready for a battle. Both the clash and the season reached a climax when Sigtryggr lost the battle and his life. King Edward's offer to rule Ylforic is denied, and he seems to take another turn towards the darkness when he decides to give up half of Northumbria for peace. This plan, however, goes bust as everyone in the room goes against it. Even Edward's guards can't force them. At this point, we weren't really expecting Edward to make the right plans anyway. And well, show us one king who wasn't battle ready. Finally, King Edward is convinced, and the battle to take back Babenberg takes place. Meanwhile, Uhtred is getting closer to getting Babenberg. At this point, all the deaths of the season have proven to be effective. The stealth mission is carried out by everyone, and the season edges closer to the end. The battle takes place, and it gets pretty bloody for everyone. But eventually, Uhtred throws his cousin from the balcony effortlessly. Upon coming out, he finds a Babenberg in flames, and it looks like the series will end at an unfortunate event, but the gods listen, and a thunderstorm ensues. The season ends as Uhtred stares at the ocean's vastness, reflecting on everything that he's been through. We believe it was a fitting ending, the storm and the ocean. What do you think this all means? Oh, there is good news for the fans. A feature film is on the way. That's right, folks. With Uhtred finally winning over Babenberg and fulfilling his destiny, the series has finally come to an end. Although that's good news, the series also ended in a conflict between him and King Edward. The war might be over, but threats still remain. 7 kings must die. A feature film is on the way, so let's discuss how the series has paved the way for it. So we will have Ragnvaldr ruling Ylforic, as the city of York was left under the rule of Sigtryggr's brother. Ragnvaldr, in the end, after Stiora refused to let King Edward rule over it. We've yet to see what happens to the city, as the one in charge used to be a drunk womanizer, with Ragnvaldr reigning over York, being egocentric and unfaithful. It doesn't take Einstein to figure out it's going to be an absolute disaster. And look who's returning, Osbert. After much speculation by the fans regarding Osbert, Uhtred's youngest son, he's seen in the final season with Hild on the holy island of Lindisfarne, heading to meet the new victor of Babenberg, who Hild says will tell Osbert about his beginnings, as he has no idea who Uhtred is. Joy strikes Hild's face as Osbert asks her if the new lord has ever met his father. Surely the moment where he finds out that his father is Uhtred will be really dramatic. Now, what really has us engaged is the dynamic between Uhtred and Edward. We know how impatient Edward is and how he almost ruined everything if it hadn't been for Stiora's troops. He was still distraught when Uhtred told him that he wasn't really the man for the job to unite all England and that the time would come for that, but he would need to wait. Waiting clearly isn't King Edward's cup of tea, are we right? And Elswith will not be giving up anytime soon. It's surprising to see that she's still hanging around even at the end of the series, by which we saw characters being dropped like flies. However, we're glad that she bounced back even after being poisoned and realized where she was wrong and is trying to make up for it. The character has been given another chance to prove herself to be a better person. We have to add that she has been lucky that she made it out alive. This season was lethal. Let's not forget that the fans have spoken. First off, let's go back to King Edward and what the fans think of him. Well, we're not surprised the fans don't really like him. His father Alfred was better liked than Edward for a number of reasons. He was smarter and made better political decisions. He knew everything about his enemies and allies. The relationship between Alfred and Uhtred was much more complex. The fans were always anticipating what would happen between the two. Edward cares about nothing but himself, and he's obsessed with becoming a better king than his father, even if that meant the imprisonment of his mother. We get that he's reckless, but some nuance would be nice. Talking about the last season, the fans are in complete awe and believe that the ending was as perfect as it could be. One fan said, "It was perfect in every sense, and is one of the most underrated shows of all time," while another fan said, "It was the most well-constructed ending ever written." Clearly, the fans got what they expected from the series, and they're right, as we also loved the way everything came together in the end. So, what's next for the series? Considering everything that has happened in this season and wrapping up as much as we can, we think the whole series was a great one, and the character building was pretty much perfect. Although losing some characters was very hard for us, and there are still some we wish had fallen into a ditch or something, the series has managed to keep us on the edge of our seats, and now the announcement of a feature film is really exciting news. Let's hope it's as good as the show. That's a wrap for this video. What were your thoughts on the last season of The Last Kingdom? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.